that is kind of an alien concept to an alien. It is alien. You know, if you have a group of people who end up throwing their babies on the rocks over a cliff for enjoyment and pastimes, that's not the kind of people we are. We have too much history showing that they have diabolically taken over the civilizations of this entire planet. And in different locations, they have huge monuments erected to tell the story about them. So this genetic research project was all about trying to find how they can access what we on this planet have that they don't get and can't have without changing the core of who they are. They want to be us, but once they're no longer them, they are us. If that were to happen, great. They wouldn't be diabolical, or would they? The problem is, right now, so far, that's not in the cards. Have you ever heard of genetic domination? Or, let me give you an example. You have people that are brown-eyed and blue-eyed, say, for example. And we won't talk about green eyes, because in iridology and alternative health, a green eye is just considered a systemic failure of the body of a blue-eyed person. Well, we can talk about that, but that's later. But a blue-eyed person and a brown-eyed person gets together, there's going to be what we call a dominant color. And the likelihood goes up for the brown eye to come out and the blue eye to not. Now, does that mean the blue eye can't? No. The odds just go up. And if you were betting at Las Vegas, the best thing to do is to bet that the brown eye, the baby, will be brown-eyed. The genetic code of Nephilim are dominant. That's why they can't be bred out. They're too dominant. And it lasts and lasts and lasts. Now, genetic codes can then be polluted, or I should say diluted. And if they breed again with a land, if an extraterrestrial alien breeds, and with somebody from this planet that's, usually about 6 foot tall. The third time and the second time they do it with somebody from this planet, they begin to shrink in size if they happen to be taller than that. And likewise, if they were smaller, they'd get bigger. So basically, the exterior of these creatures over a certain number of generations will look more normal. But that doesn't fix the propensity of their character. There are a lot of people on this planet that understand that the region where they were said to have arrived first, or at least a region that they arrived, that we have record of, Mount Hermon, and the people around that region were influenced the most by this evil group of people. Hey, we've been told that bad manners corrupts good ones. Let me give you some of the people. There was in Israel's day, a long time ago, when they were, a couple thousand years or more, 3,000 years ago, 12 tribes in Israel. The tribe of Dan was the most northern tribe, and another part of it was in the south. And Dan escaped through dysphoria and became known in Europe, and the inhabitants of Dan then marked a lot of their route by the name of each one of them as they progressively moved generation after generation more and more westward. And so we have, rivers named like the Danube River. Well, the Dan people became German people. The German people, not all of them, were influenced by their neighbors at Mount Hermon. And the diabolical group of people, being the more aggressive, less peaceful ones, became dominant in the rulership of Germany, and thus we have what we now call the Reich ruling elite, which then manifested research in the Genome Project. Folks, I'm not casting any race as bad. I'm saying, by the way, they'll affect anybody's race, just simply because they take all of whom they wanted, and they continue to take all of whom they want today. There's a rare occasion where you'll hear about an abduction, where somebody invokes their sovereign will and says absolutely no. And for some reason, the alien doesn't get their way. But by and large, they come and they take all of whom they want. And by and large, it's not to go have hot dogs and marshmallows over a campfire and sing Kumbaya, is it? It's to take genetic material. This is a real battle, folks. The establishment doesn't want you to know this exists. If they ever tell you, don't trust what they say, because it'll be them telling you the story. You constantly walk around saying disclosure is at hand. Disclosure. What do you need disclosure for? You don't need to have them tell you they're here. Why can't you trust your neighbor? Why can't you trust your friend? I just had a conversation with a friend, and that friend told me they have showed up a few months ago, attacked him. Man, am I thankful. You don't know. I can't remember if it was real or not. But when I was little, I was 3 years old. And I remember one night, this creature in my doorway. Now I wasn't old enough to understand, quote, monsters. I wasn't grown up with monster toys and monster stories. But a reptoid or a reptilian might be what you would describe it. This ugly creature came in the door in my dream, I thought, and wanted me to go with him. Well, I was a little blue-eyed, blonde-haired, stubborn, stiff-necked, hard to control young kid. And I said, like they did in the movie, what was that movie, Susan, about the guy that gets attacked in his house? No, the Thanksgiving Christmas movie where the kids are alone. Home Alone. Remember the movie? I was one of those kind of kids. Try and come in my house, you're going to run into a booby trap. I used to do it all the time. I'd run threads across my door after that, tied on to cans so that if something came through my door again, I'd hear them. That didn't just come out of the blue. I had a vivid